Hi guys, welcome back from spring break. I hope you guys had a good little break from at least not having to do homework. So today we're going to talk about play. Play is fun, get it? Fundamental. Hopefully you've already gotten your Play is a Child's Work study guide out in your blue packet and are ready to take notes and follow along. So I really do want you to understand how important play is. A lot of times people think, oh, the kids are just out playing. Actually, play is so vital. It's how kids learn so many things socially, how they learn to interact, share, care about others, how they learn cognitively. They learn so much about the world, how they learn emotionally, and which one I forgot? Oh, physically. Yes, it definitely affects their physical development. So we're going to talk just a little bit about that today. So this is why this was entitled Play is a Child's Work, and that play is fundamental. Here's a first little video. I'm just going to show it to you on here.
Young kids need to play. That's according to a new American Academy of Pediatrics report. Mayo Clinic's Dr. Angela Mackey agrees in the power and benefits of unstructured playtime.
We want them to be learning through play. Unstructured play is the best way that they can learn their developmental skills. They can learn social and emotional regulation. They can learn how to relate and problem solve with other children.
Dr. Mackey says good old-fashioned playtime not only helps children develop social skills, but it also helps with language skills and with stress relief. And in a world where screens are everywhere, Dr. Mackey says it's important to make sure to turn them off.
There's a lot of different areas that too much screen time can affect the health of children. So the first one would be sleep. We see it from young children all the way up to teenagers.
Too much screen time is associated with being sedentary, and moving is important for good health. Put down the screens and let the children play. For the Mayo Clinic News Network, I'm Vivian Williams.
All right, so I'm not going to belabor that because I think this video is going to be long enough with me putting the videos in for you. So I think you get the gist of how important we all believe that play is. So these first couple of things we're going to talk about are the different types of play that we see in children. It's a typical thing that we see. It's age typical. However, we can see children engaging in different types of play at all ages, but it does tend to be fairly typical. So the first one I'm going to talk about, and they're actually not quite in this order on your study guide. That's why you can hear me rustling papers. But so the second one down, the first one's onlooker play, and it's on the next slide. But this one right here, second one, solitary play. I love how it makes sense. You know what solitary is. That means you're playing by yourself. So this is exactly what solitary play is. A child typically is involved in their own activity all by themselves. And like I said, this is age typical for different ages, and this one happens to be from birth to 2. Age 2, that is. And however, we all like our own alone time. Some of you might like to be alone more than others, but we all like to be alone a little bit. Well, the problem that we have is if we see a child always engaged in one type of some of these plays, then we start to be worried, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. But it's actually a good thing for a child to know how to play by themselves and entertain themselves for short periods of time. So that's solitary play. All right, the next one is onlooker play, and it's obviously onlooking. You're just watching other children play. And typically we see this at about age 2. Their social skills are not that grand yet. And so a child just likes to kind of stand back and watch. However, we all like to do this. You guys ever been a people watcher, kind of rubbernecked people, sat at some place where you had to wait and just watched people? It's kind of fun to do sometimes. Anyway, one thing we want to be careful with, is we see this too often, is to try and engage the child to come over and be involved. For example, in a preschool situation, if I saw a child, we're sitting at the table playing with some Play-Doh, let's say, and then I look over and I see a child kind of off doing some onlooker behavior, onlooker play. I might try to engage them and say, hey, we want to come over here and play, and give them a little eye, hey, come over, and let them just, they might shy away and just still stand there, and hey, Sammy, you want to come over here and play with us? We got a spot right here, or that's okay if you don't, and then eventually maybe put a little pile of Play-Doh at an empty seat and say, hey, there's some for you if you decide to come over. And like I said, nothing wrong with onlooker behavior. Just if we see it a lot, there may be some concerns. We want to do everything we can to try to get that child involved in more interactive and more active play than just always standing back and watching. All right, the next type of play is parallel play. And I love it. You know what the lines in mathematics and geometry specifically that mean parallel? You draw 2 lines. If we were in class, I'd talk about that. But that's basically what we have here, is 2 children, sometimes even more, where they're just playing. They're playing with the same thing, but they're not interacting. They're just kind of doing their own little thing. They may ask for a piece or go over and grab a piece from somebody else, or try to share a little bit, but there's very, very little interaction. They're just typically playing side by side. It has a lot to do with social level and development, as well as their language skills to some degree. But we typically see this between age 2 to 3. And we kind of see it with teenagers when they get on their phones. They get together and sit and just They're in a room all together. They're all on their phones. Okay, that was meant to be funny, so just laugh at that one and move on. All right, and then the next one is associative play, and this is typically seen 3 to 4 year olds where children are interacting, but there's not really big organization to the play. You know, they might be playing house, and some little girl comes in and says, "I'm going to be the mommy," and she starts playing with the doll and trying to make dinner, and a little boy might come in and say, "I'm the fireman, and I'm here to put out the fire," and he pretends there's a fire in the room where they're playing. And another child comes in and, "I'm a ballerina," or "I'm a whatever." You know, you see how they're kind of interacting in the same place and trying to play together, but there's no real goal, there's no real leader, and there's no real organization to it all. So it's kind of fun to watch. It's if you've got little kids, you guys know this gives you in your families, if you've got little kids, it gives you an opportunity to observe them and kind of be watching some of the things we're talking about in class. But anyway, that's associative play. And then the last one is cooperative play, and this is kind of the highest level of play that there is. And there is organization, there is a leader, and they kind of boss other people around and tell them what to do. And there's a goal, and they're all trying to achieve some common goal. Like we're playing, like maybe this group right here in the picture is playing a chef, or they're playing like they're at a restaurant. It could be that they, not in this picture, but something else, that they're playing, we're on a ship and I'm the captain and you're gonna do this and you're gonna do that, and they tell them what to do. All right, I'm stuttering, guys, so let's move on. So these are the different types of play that we see. Here is a video on the types of play. All right, play starts when we're babies, and then it says it never stops. I still hope that you have and find time to play. I'm going to give you a play assignment here at the end. All right, so number 2 says, how does play allow children to grow in the following areas? So physical development. How can play help kids develop physically? Well, it helps with their muscles, their large muscles and their small muscles. This may be a time when you're going to need to pause the video because I don't want to sit here and pause for you guys to write. So just start and pause and write, and stop and pause and write, and stop and pause and write. So it helps with their large muscles and small muscles. We call those motor skills. It helps with their speed. It helps them to increase their speed at what they're doing, no matter what it is. It helps with their strength, helps with coordination. It helps with the thing we call eye-hand coordination, being able to maneuver our hand in a purposeful way to do what we want it to do. And it just helps, you heard even in that video, it helps with just general well-being. It's healthy for us to be up and moving around and being physical. Cognitive development. How does play help with our mind and help us think? Well, it helps us to analyze. You know, look at this little baby. You can't tell me that even in that picture that you can't tell that little baby is analyzing things and learning cognitively. Helps us to problem solve, helps us to reason, helps us to practice mental skills that we are learning already. It helps with our memory and our recall. You guys remember playing the memory game, like hiding something. Also helps with organizing and managing, helps with our language skills, our pre-math and our pre-reading skills. So many things that play can help with us cognitively. It helps us socially. Obviously, play tends to, many times except for the onlooker and the solitary play, it helps us to interact with other people. It also helps us to know what's acceptable in society, that, you know, you can't act like certain ways or your people aren't going to want to be around you. It helps you learn to cooperate, to share, to take turns, to be in charge, to be a follower, to emphasize things, and to also empathize. I think that's what I really meant to say, guys. To empathize and understand others' views. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a little child finally realize that it's not always fun to win and a person to be a loser, and so they lose on purpose. And that's such a neat thing to see them learn emotionally and socially, that they can empathize with somebody, and so they choose to let like a younger brother or a younger friend learn or win at a certain activity sometimes. Then emotionally, Play definitely helps us learn how to handle our feelings, how to handle our fears, also how to express our emotions. That was express our emotions in socially acceptable ways. Helps us learn to be patient. It also gives us an outlet for our emotions, and it helps with our self-esteem and our self-direction. That we get to choose what we want to play with many times. Also helps with our values and with our curiosity. So many things. And I wish we had so much longer to talk about all of this in class, but I'm trying to do my best to still have you learn some things while you're doing things online. You guys are going to have to take my class again, those of you who aren't seniors, so that we can just do the fun part. Anyway,